And Donald Trump says his big decision is not if he's running in 2024, it's when. So I want to ask you, because Olivia Nuzzi interviewed Donald Trump, who told her at this point, it's not a matter so much of if he runs for president again, but as he puts it, I would say my big decision will be whether I go before or after, seemingly to refer to the midterms. Do I go before or after? That's my big decision. I do want to ask you, your former colleague in the White House, John Bolton, who was national security advisor when you were the acting chief of staff, he was speaking to Jake Tapper the other day, and he was talking about, he didn't like the formulation that some people use that Donald Trump was attempting a coup on January 6th. And this was the exchange that he had with Jake. Listen.
One doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work, and that's not what he did. It was just stumbling around from one idea to another. Ultimately, he did unleash the rioters at the Capitol. As to that, there's no doubt. But not to overthrow the Constitution, to buy more time to throw the matter back to the states to try and redo the issue.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kate Baldwin. At this hour, you see this image on your screen. President Biden just touched down, arriving in Saudi Arabia for the most anticipated and controversial part of his Middle East trip. Very soon, the president will be meeting face-to-face with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the very man the U.S. intelligence determined likely approved the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. While in Israel, President Biden stopped short of saying he would raise the killing with the Crown Prince, though saying he will, as he always says he will, raise human rights with the country. As a presidential candidate, though, Biden, you will remember, vowed to make Saudi Arabia a pariah for their atrocious human rights record.
Khashoggi was, in fact, murdered and dismembered, and I believe in the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear, we were not going to, in fact, sell more weapons to them. We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are. There's very little social redeeming value in the present government in Saudi Arabia. They have to be held accountable.
And so it is interesting to see how on the campaign trail you make one comment, but when you're in office and gas prices are what they are back in the United States, how it does change the calculation. And that's what you hear from officials. They're downplaying whether or not he and MBS are going to shake hands or the photos. They say basically this is just reality meeting foreign policy for the Biden administration.
One thing that the Israelis and the Saudis have in common, and this is a driving force, is their concern over Iran right now and their fear that Iran potentially could be developing some sort of nuclear weapon. Their combined concern over Iran right now, and that's a real problem. Here's the president emerging from Air Force One.
And Caitlin, you mentioned the handshake that's been, if a handshake would happen between the president and the Crown Prince in their meeting.
Yeah, they have been very, very much downplaying whether or not they're going to shake hands, what it's going to look like. They say, that's just frivolous. It's not really important. It is to a degree, but also these are very tightly choreographed meetings. There have been meetings with past presidents where there's questions of, do they smile? How warm do they look when they greet a world leader? And I think that's especially the case for President Biden, who on the world stage, one of his biggest arguments that he's made is democracy versus autocracy. So people have asked, how do you effectively make that argument when you're going to meet with someone who sanctioned the brutal dismemberment of a reporter?
Off to these meetings that we've just been discussing, and a lot at stake.